Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're going to be playing a brand new game which is coming out in just a few days called March to Glory. It is a game that's being made by Shenandoah Studios of the Battle of the Bulge and Drive on Moscow fame, and is a game which puts you in the shoes of, I think, Napoleon. I think all the battles in the campaign, anyway, are fought from the French point of view, and allows you to play through over 14 different historical Napoleonic battles. Now, there is also a sandbox generator, which allows you to kind of generate a random battle. That's what I actually showed off over the last couple of days in a separate pair of videos. Those battles are kind of randomly, procedurally generated, and it lacks some of the flair of the campaign itself. So the main campaign actually has a little bit of a story. It seems like you assign experience or improve or level up your units, so it's a little bit deeper than the sandbox gameplay, and that's what we're going to take a look at here today. Now, the first battle that we're going to take a look at is the Battle of Austerlitz, which was many regard as Napoleon's greatest feat of martial triumph. He defeated a Austrian and Russian army of about 20,000 men larger than him. It was about 90,000 men. And he did so in such a decisive fashion that almost 40% of the Allied army became casualties, whereas only 10% or 13% of his own army of some 70-odd thousand men became casualties. So it was a clear, decisive victory, routing the Russians and the Austrians from the field. Now, in my opinion, Austerlitz is not Napoleon's greatest triumph. It might be his greatest sort of traditional battlefield triumph. That probably can't be disputed. But his greatest triumph, in my view, was actually the Ulm campaign, which occurred shortly before the Battle of Austerlitz and largely set this whole thing up. The Ulm campaign was a battle that was fought much closer to the borders of France and involved the French Grande Armée completely outflanking, surrounding, and destroying an Austrian army of some 72,000 men, while only losing 2,000 casualties themselves. It is widely regarded as one of the most effective turning movements in military history. They caught the Austrians off guard, they surrounded and destroyed the Austrian army, and that meant by the time that Austerlitz rose around, Austria's already lost their principal field army. The majority of the army at Austerlitz, I believe, was actually Russian. So these two allied powers, the Austrians with the bulk of their army destroyed, and after Austerlitz, the Russians with their army crippled as well, didn't have much of a choice but to surrender to Napoleon and agree to his terms. If the Ulm campaign had not occurred, then frankly the Allies may have still continued fighting, because they would have had over 60,000 additional soldiers in the field in a field army. Additionally, Austerlitz might have been very different if both of these armies were able to link up and kind of gang up on Napoleon. Or frankly, just from a financial perspective, France was sort of teetering on the verge of bankruptcy at the time, given the wars and everything was going on. This is a critical period of time, and the double hammer blows of Ulm and Austerlitz were actually absolutely critical in forming the Napoleonic Europe that was the result. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump in here. You can see the briefing. The objectives are defend Belowitz and capture Austerlitz. We're fighting the 6th Coalition against the Russians and the Austrians. The Russians are here, the Austrians are here. And we are the First French Empire. I don't know why it says the battle is 18 June 1815. That is the Battle of Waterloo, so the date here appears to be wrong. But this is still a pre-release version of the game. Hopefully that's something they'll catch before they release it. All right, let's go ahead and jump in and start, and we'll see here. Now, this is different than the sandbox battle I played before. There's a promotion phase. So before the battle, use promotions to improve units of your choosing. Before the battle, use promotions to improve units of your choosing. Press the ready button in the corner of the screen, and the battle will commence. So we have 6 promotions we can assign to various units of ours. I'm going to go ahead and assign 1 to this cavalry, and what we can do here is we can give them +2 damage while on a hill, we can give them +2 damage and -1 movement range, or we can give them +2 defense in rough terrain. Thank you very much for the follow, Sensopolis. So we're going to go ahead and go with the +2 damage and -1 movement range. We're also going to go ahead and assign some perks to this infantry unit here. +2 defending in swamp, +1 defense, +2 hand-to-hand, -1 range. I really would prefer ranged combat. Range damage, +2. All right, we're going to go with that. +1 defense, range damage. Range is everything I'm going to go for here. View range, reaction fire, defense. No. Could go with artillery. +1 attacking infantry, +2 damage. Let's go +2 damage. And actually, you can rank up a unit more than once. So you see we're assigning these skills to everybody. We can actually assign more if we want. We can give them immune to artillery attacks, +3 damage to adjacent enemies, or +2 damage when fighting in a forest for the artillery. Or we can level up the cavalry again and give them all support bonuses ignored, +2 damage for square formation. Your unit recovers and heals, no need to be a garrison. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to use the last two just as an individual. Like those options. Yeah, these units kind of suck. It's weird. I don't know why, but some of these units have different perks. Really would prefer the range. Because most of my fighting is going to be at range. There we go. All right, so we've assigned all of our experienced brigades. We're going to fight the battle. The army leading by 200 victory points will be victorious, and we need to defend Belowitz and capture Austerlitz. Okay, so time for the Battle of Austerlitz. To start, we need to move fast from both the north and south flanks if we want to ensure victory. So you can see we can click on Napoleon. This is a little bit of a tutorial. It's not the tutorial itself, that's its own thing, but it's kind of guiding you through the first battle of the campaign at least, and that is the Battle of Austerlitz. So you can see one general on the field is General Napoleon Bonaparte, the leader of the French armies. It's telling us to move him forward to this Belowitz marker on the map. It's also going to tell us to click on this infantry unit here and to engage this enemy unit here. So we'll engage them in some volley fire there, do some damage to them. We took damage too, so that was about an even fight. Now it's going to have us use our artillery, but actually I would rather ignore them and use cavalry to form these guys into squares. It doesn't look like it's going to let me do that though. We'll just have to bombard them. It looks like I don't have a choice but to follow some of these initial steps it's giving me here. So it's kind of just walking you through some of the basics. Again, it's almost like a tutorial within the game. Okay. Alright, so I'm moving some of my own troops by this point. I'm actually going to keep these guys until it's... Cross the river. These guys, they can actually shoot at either this unit or this unit. Ooh, this unit. All right, so I don't know if that's flank fire or whatnot, but that was a very devastating shot here by the 1st Regiment. They lost some casualties on their own, but this enemy unit is pretty badly shot up, so we're going to go ahead and charge them with some cavalry here. They're not in square formation yet. The infantry forms into square formation as we attack them, but we did quite a bit of damage to them here. You can see these guys are almost dead. Infantry forward. All of these guys have to cross a river, so it does sort of impact their movement abilities. We'll move this cavalry here down to the south. And what do we still have to move? Other cavalry unit, which can come forward. And we've got this infantry unit, the 57th Regiment. And I will say that despite this, being a quote-unquote historical battle, it is a little bit, how do you say it? It's a little bit ahistorical, without meaning it in a negative way. It certainly takes some liberties. It's a little bit abstract. It's not obviously a perfectly true representation of the Battle of Austerlitz here, so just sort of keep that in mind. So we went ahead and moved our troops out of Tilitz. We moved them forward. Oh, we've got this artillery battery back here too, so we'll move them into the open, marching this way. And we've driven the first of the enemy regiments back here in our initial fight. It's a 20-turn battle you can see here on the top left, and we've more or less completed our first one. Not quite, but almost. Go ahead and shoot at these guys in a forest. They don't return fire, so I think that's going to do it for turn 1. So go ahead and end the turn up here. You can see we've got 18 score victory points versus 8 for the enemy. So the enemy's casualties exceeded our own, and thus that kind of feeds into the victory points at this stage. I believe the objectives also grant victory points. There's Austerlitz over here, which is the town that we need to take. Austerlitz itself was not a pivotal piece of the Battle of Austerlitz. Actually, the battle was probably more aptly named, would be the fight over the Pratzen Heights, which really dominated the region. And there were some other areas that there was definitely some intense fighting that was going in and around. I'm not an expert on Austerlitz, but I know that, again, the town itself was just nearby. It wasn't a central piece to the actual battle. You can see the enemy is attacking or counterattacking us or engaging us or whatever you want to call it. Some of our infantry troops here, I think the guys in Putmowitz actually lost the worst. That unit got shot up pretty bad too on that enemy charge. This unit got some reinforcements, so they did lose casualties, but you can see they're back to full strength with their reinforcements. These guys are not in square formation, but I can't attack them with cavalry because they're in. What do we want to do? Alright, artillery, what can you do? Attack this cavalry for 4. These guys, you can hit them pretty hard. They're in what looks like a column formation, so they're going to be very vulnerable to artillery. 5-7 for these guys in this town. That's actually going to be the most exposed unit to our artillery, so we'll go ahead and use our northern artillery battery here to attack these guys. Fire breaks out in the town. And then we're going to go ahead and attack them with infantry via some volley fire. Kind of pin my troops in here. Alright, so we'll have a cavalry engagement here. Hopefully do some damage to them. Artillery down here, shoot at anyone. Doesn't look like it. Alright, we'll move this infantry down here. Can't shoot at these guys because there's obstacles in the way. Our horsemen up. This infantry into Belowix itself. They're actually going to kind of attach themselves to Napoleon, who's there as well. Then we'll move some of these other guys forward here. These guys did get shot up a bit. Our artillery did some damage to him. A volley fire will do only 1 damage. It predicted 3. So let's... Then we'll move our artillery forward as well. They're going to be on a hill, so they'll have a good line of fire. Some of these guys are all blocked off. You can't move units through other units in this game, so that is a challenge. Not going to do any damage by the looks of it. You guys don't have anywhere to move, so that's going to do it for turn number 2. Alright, enemy cavalry riding away. 2 units repositioning themselves. They've got a pretty strong force in the southern part of the map. The northern part of the map feels a little bit weaker, but we may just be stronger. I'm not sure. Enemy rifles, or musket, whatever they are, doing some work on some of our troops in Batowitz, which we have to defend. More melees against us. There's this unit coming forward in a column formation to charge our own units, which are in line of battle. And what else is going to happen here? Ooh, charge up this rough terrain also from the... Wow, we lost 3 there? They lost some casualties, but that was a pretty unfortunate engagement for us. Though I would imagine they're going to follow that advance up, take that hex. They will. So they take the hex, they drive our troops back, but now they're exposed kind of on 3 sides here. And also to our artillery fire, if I choose to do it. It's 2-4 there. Here, and those are the only 2 I can shoot at right now. So we're going to go with The 2-4. Right now, we are completely even at victory points. You can see the casualties inflicted. We've inflicted 18 victory points of the casualties on enemy infantry, 2 on cavalry. They've done 4 on cavalry and 14 on infantry, so we're exactly tied at the moment. That's about to change here with this artillery bombardment. See there, we hit that unit pretty hard. We're going to go ahead and fire a volley into their flank. Again, I'm not clear on if like flank fire actually matters in this game, but if it did, then yay. All right, so go ahead and fire a volley at these guys from the Krobelinsk Pond. Kind of surprised they didn't retreat with that. Fire another volley from their flank. All right, they're retreating now. But I'm not going to advance. I will advance, because that's going to open up maneuver for some other troops which can't shoot at anybody. So we'll go ahead and do that. Here. Move this cavalry over here. Nice. Okay. What do I want to shoot at right now? Alright, we'll shoot at these guys in the town. Yeah, our own horsemen are suffering a bit. Move these guys. Alright, so we can shoot at these guys, and it's a 1-3, so we'll do that. Should favor us against these troops dug in. 2-1, wow. Alright, I'll take. Those guys will sit back and rest a bit. And we've got one more unit that hasn't done anything. We'll go ahead and shoot at these guys in the wood line. The unit that keeps charging us. And that will do it for that turn. And we're moving back to the enemy turn. They're having some reinforcements coming up. Getting some additional morale perks here for one of their units. Some units are rallying, getting extra morale. Horsemen are kind of going to come attack ours. They'll reoccupy the town. I'm guessing they fled. Sometimes what happens is when you bombard a town, you can start a fire. And the fire can actually impact the units in the town and damage them. So my assumption is they were kind of kicked out of the town by that, and now they're returning to the town. The enemy's getting a little bit better of us than I would like in some of these engagements here. Those 2 volley fires, and then again another melee with our troops here in the north. My hope was to crush the Russians in the north and then turn south with the bulk of my forces, but it hasn't quite worked out that way to this point. So the Russian troops are doing very well in melee here. Troops are mostly getting... well, they're all getting engaged to a point. I'm going to shoot at this enemy cavalry here with our own infantry. Vulnerable to... no, we can't hit them. We can maybe destroy this unit with our artillery. There you go. We destroyed our first enemy unit. Go ahead and bombard these guys in this town. Didn't start a fire. So we'll try and charge and see what we do here. About even casualties across the board, so no decisive result. Engaging these guys in the north, it's about even in terms of those casualties here. Alright, we're going to get shot here. When you move into one of those purple hexes, you get enemy reaction against you. Oh god. Artillery. enemy reaction occurs against you, which can be pretty devastating. Alright, so 1, 3, 1. Charge this enemy battery here. 2, 4, so we should do some damage to their artillery. We do. 2 and 2. 2 morale, 2 casualties here. Our other troops, again, are just going to kind of have to sit and wait till they're ready. Get more of my cavalry in play. I've just got the 1 regiment. But they're kind of pinned in the north again, where there's not really a ton of use for them. Alright, so that'll end that turn. We're up on victory points by about 30, but again, our units are starting to get whittled down a bit more than I would like. Enemy cavalry, I don't know if they're trying to charge us or do something, but they just got hit by some reaction fire. Enemy artillery battery there just pulled back a bit. The cavalry hasn't attacked yet, but I assume they will. And quite a bit of maneuver this turn. Right, those troops have formed square. They're on a hill. But the one weird thing about this game to me is that square formations, at least initially at this point in the game, don't seem like they have a tremendous effect on the enemy, which seems a little bit sort of anti-historical. At least the initial sort of, I don't know, random battle that I played through, the square formations were completely ineffective against enemy cavalry. They were very effective, or artillery was very effective against squares, cavalry was very effective against squares, and infantry wasn't, which again seems counterintuitive to me, but is what it is, I guess. Those infantry are going to move out of that town down there. Actually, that means that takes away the movement penalty for us. We can either bombard these guys or these guys. We're going to hit this unit. I'm going to do more damage to them. They're more exposed. We'll go ahead and move these guys into this forest. And we'll hit them with a volley from, I think, the rear. Seems to be giving them a little bit of a perk to fire that volley. Hit him from 3 sides and drove him back there. That was a pretty clear advantage for us. Should have advanced. Other guys in square, I can't hit them though. Cavalry down there? No, I can't. Oh, this is really all I can do is shoot at these guys. And I can't shoot at them from over here. Shucks. Alright, we can at least fire a good volley into this cavalry that can't attack me because we're in we're in a town. They advance out of the town and now they can attack me. Nice. 1-3, they'll form square. It's relatively fresh. These guys have just 1 unit that's slightly demoralized. That was a pretty effective attack there by my cavalry. So again, the troops in the north, not doing much. Their morale, I assume, is low because they're in a town that's on fire, but that's an assumption. Could be wrong. Move these guys across the river here. Alright, I think that does it for this turn. We can zoom out here, see the map more fully. We'll go ahead and end turn number, we're going to turn number 5. You can see they're on fire, they were getting reinforced, but they also got a morale penalty because they were on fire, which, you know, burning alive may not be the most exciting or morale-lifting event. That cavalry of ours, I'm kind of surprised hasn't retreated yet. It's really getting shot up a bit. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this episode, looking at the Battle of Austerlitz of March to Glory, the upcoming Napoleonic game by Shenandoah Studios and published by Slitherine. So far, we have sort of marched to engage the enemy, and we're in the midst of a bit of a slogging match. against the principally Russian, but I believe there's also Austrian forces on the field here in the Battle of the Three Emperors, or the Battle of Austerlitz, again, Napoleon's greatest victory by many measures. We will split this battle into 2 parts, so the second part will come in the next video. I hope you're all enjoying it to this point, and until next time, guys, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.